A strange new object, named 3I Atlas, is defying every known law of celestial mechanics, cometary behaviour, and perhaps even our understanding of natural origin. First spotted earlier this year, 3I Atlas has entered the inner solar system on a hyperbolic trajectory. That's right, it's not from here. This is only the third confirmed interstellar object after Oumuamua and 2I Borisov. But this one is different, extremely different. Because unlike anything before it, 3I Atlas changed direction. It manoeuvred, it showed jets with no visible tail, it brightened fivefold in just days. And, perhaps most stunning of all, it turned bluer than the sun, something no comet has ever done. This object is now the centre of global astronomical attention. Some say it's natural, others aren't so sure. And today, we investigate it all. I'm your channel name, and this is a full-scale breakdown of 3I Atlas, a mystery currently unfolding in real time. We'll examine images, trajectories, energy outputs, and a statement made by Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb that has sparked headlines and congressional inquiry. We're using real-time sky mapping tools like Stellarium, expert analysis from Harvard, data from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and citizen telescopes from the Virtual Telescope project in Italy. All pulling eyes toward one date, December 19th, 2025, its closest approach to Earth. Something may happen then: fragmentation, acceleration, emission, contact. Whatever it is, it could change how we see our place in the universe. Make sure you subscribe if you're following this story, because what happens in the next 4 weeks could be historic. Now let's begin. On September 23rd, 2025, a set of automated observations from the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, ATLAS, flagged an object with a hyperbolic trajectory, meaning it wasn't orbiting the Sun, it was just passing through. Initial orbital calculations placed it on a steep interstellar arc, confirming it as the third known object of its kind, following 2017's Oumuamua and 2019's Borisov. But unlike those two, which either had no activity, Oumuamua, or displayed clear cometary behaviour, Borisov, 3I Atlas appeared as a fuzzy blur with 7 irregular jets and no tail. This alone was strange. Tails are the signature of comets, created when ice and dust sublimate as they approach the Sun. But here, jets were seen, without a consistent tail. And so, the first real questions began. Using JPL's Horizons system, Orbital analysts confirmed its velocity, about 150 km per second, roughly 3 times faster than any Earth-launched spacecraft. Perihelion, its closest approach to the Sun, occurred on October 29, 2025, at a distance of 203 million kilometres. That's farther than Mercury, but still within the inner solar system. As it rounded the Sun, its behaviour became even more unusual. Within a week, multiple observatories, including Harvard, NASA JPL, and the Virtual Telescope project in Italy, reported something unexpected. From November 6th to 9th, 3I Atlas rapidly brightened by a factor of 5 and began to radiate at shorter wavelengths, producing a blue hue, bluer than the Sun itself. This is where science began to split. Some said the colour shift might be due to unusual composition, possibly nickel-rich or containing ionized gases. But others, including Dr. Avi Loeb, believed something else might be happening. Because this object wasn't just glowing, it was moving the wrong way. On November 7th, during a Newsmax interview, Dr. Avi Loeb said 5 words that sent shockwaves across space science communities. It manoeuvred against solar gravity. Loeb, founder of the Galileo Project, former chair of Harvard's astronomy department, is no fringe theorist. He's a mainstream academic who has spent decades studying interstellar trajectories, cosmic radiation, and the boundary between natural and artificial celestial objects. According to Loeb, analysis from multiple telescopes, including the Las Vegas Galileo Project Observatory, detected a lateral acceleration vector not attributable to solar wind or mass ejection. Now let's be clear, comets do sometimes experience non-gravitational accelerations. When they release gas jets, they can nudge themselves off course slightly. But the problem? The acceleration observed in 3I Atlas was both stronger and in the wrong direction. The The jets appeared to point toward the Sun, while the object accelerated laterally, perpendicular to expected forces. To generate this effect naturally, it would require ejecting over 5 billion tons of mass, without producing visible debris or a trailing tail. None was seen. No known natural object behaves this way. Here's where the story takes a sharp political turn. On November 10th, Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna tweeted that NASA has yet to release high-resolution imagery taken by the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, HiRISE, as 3i Atlas passed behind Mars. HiRISE, one of the most powerful space cameras ever launched, likely captured detailed images of the object as it entered solar perihelion. But over a month later, those images remain unreleased. Why? Multiple theories are floating online. NASA is still processing the images. There's nothing significant in them. Or the controversial one. There's something in them that we weren't supposed to see. Congress has now become involved. In closed-door sessions, Dr. Loeb briefed Capitol Hill lawmakers, raising the stakes. The object's unusual trajectory, colour shift, and internal jet pattern may suggest something artificial. At this point, NASA, the ESA, and even the Japanese JAXA mission teams are scrambling to coordinate telescope time for December 19th, when 3i Atlas will pass within 0.21 AU, about 31 million kilometres, of Earth. This will be the closest approach and the best chance to detect fragmentation, emission of smaller bodies, sudden acceleration, or even signals. Yes, signals. Because this gets stranger. Let's talk about the jets. Spectral imaging from the Virtual Telescope project and analysis from Caltech have revealed 7 discrete jets visible as spikes of energy in multiple directions. But here's the puzzle. No tail, no coma, no outgassing cloud. In other words, no visible particles being ejected. So what is creating the jets? One theory is that the object is made of nickel-rich material, confirmed by spectroscopy, with unusually low iron content. This could suggest a metallic crust, possibly fractured, exposing internal cavities or propulsion-like vents. Yes, this is speculative, but let's compare to Oumuamua. Oumuamua had no tail either. It reflected sunlight like a metal plate, and also showed non-gravitational acceleration. Avi Loeb theorized it might have been a light sail, a discarded probe from another civilization. With 3i Atlas, the pattern seems eerily similar, but this time there are jets. The acceleration vector measured, approximately 0.035 ms2 lateral drift. That may sound tiny, but over millions of kilometers, it's enough to cause deviation of thousands of kilometers. Simulations show the object should have passed behind the Sun by a margin of 2.5 degrees, but actually shifted by 5.1 degrees, suggesting an anomalous force at play. Again, the question arises, what kind of natural body does this? So far, no known comet, asteroid, or interstellar fragment shows this behaviour, this composition, and this colour. Let's talk about the colour next. According to direct optical readings between November 6th and 9th, the object's spectrum shifted into the shorter wavelength band, peaking in blue cyan, beyond 480 nanometers. That makes it bluer than the Sun, which peaks at around 580 nanometers. This is rare, extremely rare, for any natural object not heated beyond 5800 Kelvin. But 3i Atlas is cooler, not hotter than the Sun, meaning the colour shift is not thermal. So what is it? There are 3 possibilities. Ionization by external radiation, but the Sun's solar wind didn't spike that week. Unusual material composition, possibly reflecting only blue wavelengths. Active emission of energy, meaning the object is not reflecting light, but generating I. That third possibility is deeply controversial, because only engineered systems emit selective wavelength spectra with that kind of intensity. To be clear, scientists are not claiming this is alien, but the data doesn't fit any known natural mechanism. Spectral lines show nickel spikes but no water vapour, which is extremely odd for a comet. There's also polarization data. Light bouncing off the objects is more linearly polarized than expected, again suggesting structured surfaces. Maybe it's a crusted metallic fragment, said Dr. Gianluca Massi from Italy's Virtual Telescope project. Or maybe, he said, pausing, we're seeing something that wanted to be seen. Using Stellarium and NASA's Eyes on the Solar System tool, we can now map the path of 3i Atlas in real time. Picture this, a three-dimensional map of the inner solar system. Earth is orbiting smoothly around the Sun, Mars further out. But here comes a new dot, moving fast, cutting across the plane of the planets, like a stone skipping past the orbits. That dot is 3i Atlas, a 4 to 5 kilometre wide object, possibly metallic, currently moving 150 kilometres per second. That's 540,000 kilometres per h, on an outbound path after perihelion. But instead of following a clean sun slingshot curve like most interstellar objects, 3i Atlas shows a non-linear deflection as if it nudged mid-course. And now, it's approaching Earth. Its projected closest approach is set for December 19th, 2025, just 6 days before Christmas. On that day, it will pass within 0.21 astronomical units, or about 31 million kilometres. That's close enough for high-resolution optical imaging, possible radar pings, and maybe, just maybe, evidence of internal structure. Mark that date. Because scientists are calling it the best opportunity to study an interstellar visitor since Oumuamua. But here's the real tension. If the object is breaking apart or activating or even changing course again, then December 19th could be the day everything changes. Let's talk alignments. If you run solar system visualization tools like SkyEye or Solar System Scope, you'll notice something unusual about 3i Atlas's approach path. On December 19th, Earth, the object, and the Sun form a near-perfect arc, with Venus just 20 degree off the same alignment. That places 3i Atlas in a high gravitational cross-current zone, which could either stabilize its trajectory or destabilize it further. Interestingly, these alignments have historical echoes. Oumuamua passed through the ecliptic at a similar configuration in 2017. The 1977 "wow" signal, often associated with an unknown interstellar source, also came from a region just 9 degrees from the current trajectory of 3i Atlas. Coincidence? Maybe. But astronomers and physicists alike are watching this closely. Some believe cosmic alignments can act as navigation beacons. If an object were artificial, these would be optimal flyby moments. According to calculations from the Galileo project's Orbital modelling team, 3i Atlas could pass within direct line of sight from key ground-based telescopes, including Very Large Telescope, Xavier Chile Pan-STARRS, Mayini Hawaii, Arecibo Replacement Arrays, under construction, FAST, China's 500-metre aperture spherical telescope, Jodrell Bank Observatory, UK. This global network of eyes will attempt simultaneous imaging, spectroscopy, and radio detection on December 19th, a rare synchronized astronomy campaign. And here's where it gets stranger. The Juno spacecraft currently orbiting Jupiter will have a direct observational corridor to 3i Atlas in mid-March 2026, opening a possible window for interception. Dr. Loeb has proposed that if this object is maneuvering or transmitting, Juno's sensors might detect a pulse or reflection, a first in human history. So, is it communicating? To date, no confirmed signals have been detected from 3i Atlas. No repeating bursts, no narrowband transmissions, no anomalies in the radio spectrum. At least, none disclosed. But that hasn't stopped speculation. In fact, on November 14th, amateur SETI networks in Europe reported short, low-frequency emissions near the hydrogen line at 14 and 20 MHz. This is the same range as the famous WOW signal, detected in 1977. A one-off 72-second burst never explained. What made the rumour more intense? The emission angle was consistent with 3i Atlas's position and came within hours of its brightest jet activation. The professional community quickly dismissed this as background interference, possibly from Earth-based systems, but SETI home forums lit up with raw data downloads. Is it real? Unknown. But it highlights a bigger issue. We have never studied an object like this, live. As of today, NASA's Deep Space Network, China's FAST and ESA's STRAC are all logging passive spectrum data from the object's coordinates. The challenge? Bandwidth and signal-to-noise ratio. At 31 million kilometres, A weak signal from a rotating object could be missed unless pointed at Earth precisely. So far, no beacons, no codes. But then again, if this is something designed to watch us, perhaps it's not broadcasting. It's listening. Let's come back to the scientific divide. There are now two main camps in the astrophysics community. They argue that 3I Atlas is a loosely bound interstellar comet with unusual composition, nickel-rich, low ice, experiencing volatile venting from internal cavities, showing asymmetric mass loss causing acceleration. This would explain the jet's no tail, blue hue, nickel-iron fluorescence, and directional drift, but only if we accept several unique coincidences. Problem is, we've never seen this exact behaviour before. This minority camp, led by voices like Dr. Avi Loeb, believes the jets are internal propulsion. The lack of tail is evidence of artificial structure. The colour shift is non-thermal emission. The manoeuvre indicates intentional path correction. The coincidence with the 1977 WOW signal and ecliptic geometry is too unlikely. They don't claim it's alien, but they say it's worth treating as a potential probe. Possibly ancient, possibly derelict, possibly designed to pass through solar systems undetected. Loeb calls this the silent gatekeeper theory, suggesting that some objects could be ancient interstellar sensors, launched by other civilizations to monitor technological emergence. And Earth? Well, we've been broadcasting for about 100 years. Maybe someone is listening. Let's turn to composition. Spectral analysis by telescopes in Italy, Chile, and Arizona confirm an object rich in nickel, low in water ice, and almost absent in carbon emissions, all extremely atypical for comets. Standard comet compositions, like Halley's comet, include water vapor, carbon monoxide, dust and organics, weak metals. But 3I Atlas shows strong metal lines and almost no volatiles. It also lacks a visible coma. The surrounding glow most comets display. Possible explanation: it's a metallic asteroid from another star system. Or it's cloaked in synthetic materials like osinnotite, like alloys or composites. There's also another weird data point: no fragmentation trail. When most active comets jet, they shed micrometeorites, dust, or even split cores. But 3I Atlas? Clean. Some researchers at ESA's Comet Division have suggested it might be a hollow or porous shell, with internal chambers creating the jet effect. That brings us to the most speculative idea circulating quietly in academic channels. The hypothesis proposes that 3I Atlas may be a layered structure, possibly a derelict interstellar craft, now inert, but occasionally venting internal pressure when heated by the sun. If true, it may behave like a dead spacecraft, rotating slowly, occasionally firing residual vents, but otherwise silent. Is it wild? Yes. Is it testable? Potentially. That's why December 19th matters. Radar and optical imaging could confirm internal cavities, metallic reflections, regular rotational spin. Or, the opposite, a chaotic fragment ready to split. Meanwhile, social media and amateur astronomers are all over this. Reddit threads have hit record views in space forums. YouTube explainer channels are racing to produce updates. Even TikTok is filled with simulations, deep dive theories, and comparisons to Oumuamua. But this is no recycled story. 3I Atlas is real. It's still out there. And as we speak, it is approaching Earth. Interestingly, the Virtual Telescope project has now opened live feeds for public viewing. Their next stream is scheduled for Telescope, 14-inch Celestron, in Ceccano. Italy time 21:30. GMT target, 3I Atlas at plus 110 magnitude in the night sky. Yes. You can literally see this mystery unfold with your own eyes. All of this leads to one big question. What will we see on December 19th? A metallic fragment, a shattered comet, a silent observer, or something we can't even imagine? We don't know yet, but the answer lies, as always, in the vastness of the stars. Let's return to November 7th. As telescopes worldwide shifted their attention to 3I Atlas, astronomers noticed something that contradicted decades of cometary science: 7 visible jets of material, without a discernible tail. Normally, when a comet nears the sun, its icy core vaporizes, releasing gases and dust that form a curved, wispy tail, pushed away by solar wind. But 3I Atlas, it had no tail, only jets, directed in, may I ask, multiple independent directions. And the object was moving faster. Dr. Gianluca Marsi, head of Italy's Virtual Telescope project, said during a live stream, "It behaves like something with internal decisions, not random gas outbursts. These are focused, directional emissions." And it gets stranger. Spectral analysis revealed that the jets were not water vapour or carbon dioxide, typical for icy visitors, but rich in nickel and magnesium silicates with an abnormally low iron ratio. That's not common for comets, that's industrial. Harvard's Avi Loeb added in a briefing, "If this object is shedding jets but not slowing down or tumbling, then it's not just melting. Something is regulating its ejections." Think about that. Something regulating its ejections. In the week following the Novel 69 Blue Flare event, amateur astronomers from France, Chile, and Australia reported flickering brightness from the object's core. Not random glints, but periodic pulses. Brightness, fade. Brightness, fade. At consistent intervals, simulations from the ESA's Gaia mission showed that such pulses could indicate a tumbling hollow shell with an uneven reflective interior, or more controversially, a controlled spin for stabilization. It would be like a giant bell, echoing light back at us. NASA's infrared data showed that despite these brightness fluctuations, the thermal signature stayed constant. In other words, it was blinking but not heating up. No natural object behaves that way. We expect comets to have a dense, rocky nucleus, the heart of the object. But as 3I Atlas passed perihelion, multiple radar pings failed to detect a solid core. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter was in position to capture backscatter images during the pass, but those images, captured between October 29th and November 3rd, still haven't been released publicly. Why? Some scientists believe NASA is verifying the results before releasing them. Others, including members of the Galileo project, suggest the images show something that defies conventional explanation. Loeb, during a closed Q&A with graduate students, hinted, "We may be looking at a shell, thin, large and hollow, not a comet, not an asteroid, something else. No core, just echoes." Let's fast forward now. December 19th, 2025, and 6 days before Christmas. 3I Atlas will pass within observational range of ground-based radar, LiDAR, and infrared telescopes in Hawaii, California, and the Canary Islands. Already the Virtual Telescope project has begun rehearsing what they call a capture campaign, a coordinated effort with Japan's Subaru telescope and Chile's VLT to image the object in real time. And if the object fragments, we'll see it. If it releases smaller objects, we'll know. If it suddenly changes course, we'll have confirmation of controlled movement. And the stakes are high. Loeb and his team calculated that if this object is truly maneuvering, then on December 19th, it may align with Earth's orbital plane in a way that matches what he calls interception potential, not impact, but rendezvous, not collision, contact. In a twist few were expecting, a recent sky survey conducted by Caltech's Zwicky Transient Facility placed the outbound trajectory of 3I Atlas within 9 degrees of the sky location from which the famous 1977 WOW signal was received. Let that sink in. The most enigmatic radio burst in SETI history, a 72-second signal that to this day has never been explained, came from the same general direction 3I Atlas is now leaving. Coincidence? Loeb doesn't think so. It could be a beacon, he said, or perhaps a scout. But either way, nature doesn't do precise repetition. Skeptics argue that 9 degrees is still a broad area of the sky, but the Galileo project is currently mapping the historical overlaps of interstellar object trajectories to determine if other anomalies trace back to that same region. Because if they do, we're looking at a corridor, not a coincidence. Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., US Representative Anna Paulina Luna has begun asking questions. On November 14th, she submitted a formal request to NASA and the Department of Defense for the release of all high-resolution data related to 3I Atlas, citing national interest. In her statement, she mentioned conflicting information from multiple observatories, and called for complete transparency on any non-natural propulsion signatures. That's the language of cover-ups and classified material. That's the tone taken when something big is suspected. NASA hasn't responded publicly, and the HiRISE team, responsible for imaging from Mars, has gone silent. At this point, even the skeptics are running out of explanations. Let's recap what makes this object so bizarre. No tail. No outgassing pattern consistent with known comets. Blue spectral signature hotter than the sun, yet cold to infrared. Jets behaving like controlled propulsion. Acceleration without visible mass loss. A hollow shell, a vanishing core, and possibly tied to the WOW signal corridor. The hollow shell theory is gaining traction. In it, the object is seen not as a comet or asteroid, but as a thin-walled structure, possibly made of advanced materials designed to shed minimal thermal signature, reflect solar radiation strategically, and survive high-velocity interstellar travel. In simpler terms, a probe. Is it ours? No nation has claimed it. Is it natural? Nature doesn't make symmetric jets without a tail. So what is it? As the object approaches Earth on December 19th, scientists, astronomers, and citizen observers around the globe will have their instruments pointed skyward. In fact, a growing online community has begun organising a real-time global watch party, with live feeds from Chile, Spain, Italy, and Australia syncing into a central public server. Harvard's Loeb will host a live commentary panel. We may, in that moment, witness history. A comet that isn't a comet. An object with no tail, no debris, and a trajectory that shouldn't exist. Yet it's very much here. And then, something even stranger might happen. Let's talk about the numbers. As of this week, 3i Atlas is travelling at approximately 150 kilometers per second, nearly 3 times faster than the fastest human-made object ever launched, the Parker Solar Probe. Its trajectory is low inclination, meaning it's travelling nearly parallel to the orbital plane of the planets. That's unusual. Most interstellar objects enter our solar system from odd angles, high inclination, because they're not from here. But 3i Atlas, it's flying like it belongs here. On December 19th, it will pass within 0.12 AU of Earth, that's about 18 million kilometres, close enough for radar imaging, spectroscopy, and possibly detection of structural echoes if it truly is hollow. And then what? That's the question. Let's unpack what this theory actually means. Imagine a thin-walled object, like an egg, made of reflective alloys, designed to reduce thermal detection. If it's spinning just fast enough, the centrifugal forces could stabilise its trajectory. If it's ejecting tiny controlled jets, the kind we're seeing, it might not be reacting to the sun at all. It might be navigating. Some materials, like nickel-rich alloys, can maintain structural integrity at high temperature and radiation exposure. Combine that with the lack of iron, and you reduce magnetic signature. It would be stealthy, by design. And the blue shift? That's not just hot, it's specific. Short wavelength blue light coming from a body that is cooler than the sun is. Problematic. It suggests electroluminescence, light generated by energetic particles, possibly via internal power. We're not talking about chemistry anymore, we're talking about engineering. Could it be ancient? Possibly. Could it be active? That's what we're about to find out. Here's what the scientific community is currently debating. A comet with strange composition, mostly metals, not ices, that is still managing to produce directed jets due to trapped heat and surface collapse. Problem: no tail, no tumble, no heat bloom. Likelihood: medium-low. Like Oumuamua, but with jets. A shard from a planetary collision in another system. Possibly a cosmic surfboard ejected from a dying star's debris. Issue: acceleration is too clean. No tumbling. Likelihood: medium. An ancient probe or part of one. Thin, hollow. No longer transmitting, but still reacting to solar radiation via material properties. Backed by Loeb's comments. Likelihood: medium-high. Still operational. Using directional jets to steer. Hollow design to survive impacts and radiation. Minimal energy footprint. Issue: requires accepting advanced tech. Likelihood: unknown, but not dismissed. And then there's Theory 5, that this is intentional contact. But we're not there yet. Let's walk through the observation plan. Infrared telescopes will track thermal shifts. If it fragments, they'll see heat spikes. Radar arrays, like those at Goldstone and Greenbank, will bounce signals to detect structure. If it's hollow, expect strange echo patterns. Spectroscopy stations in Hawaii and Chile will analyse the surface composition and jet emissions in real time. Optical telescopes will look for unexpected motion, such as wobble, splitting, or sudden dimming. Citizen telescopes in Italy, Spain, and Australia will contribute live video streams, building a 3D map of the pass. The Galileo project, with Loeb at the helm, will run proprietary data checks for outliers, unusual light curves, blink patterns, reflectivity ratios. And if all the jets fire again, if it lights up blue a second time, we'll know the scientific community is watching. The military is watching. The public is watching. And every day, new updates are trickling in. We don't know if this object will release smaller fragments. We don't know if it will change course again. We don't know if it's truly hollow, or if it's hiding something inside. But what we do know is this. On December 19th, Earth will have its clearest look yet at an object that is already rewriting what we thought we knew about the solar system. The countdown isn't just scientific, it's philosophical. Because if this turns out to be artificial, then we're not alone. And maybe we've never been. So let's ask the question. If 3i Atlas is a probe sent from a distant civilization, what does it want? Observation. A signal relay. A dormant fragment drifting across space. Or something stranger. A test. We've sent probes to other worlds. The Voyagers, the Pioneers. Each carried information, etched plaques and encoded music. What if this is their Voyager? Would we even recognise the message? What if we're not supposed to? If you've watched this far, congratulations. You're now part of the growing network of amateur and professional observers preparing for the December 19th window. Here's what you can do. Follow the Virtual Telescope Project livestream. Check for NASA's radar imaging updates. Mark December 19th. In your calendar, closest approach, join Loeb's open commentary at the Galileo Project's channel. Keep your eyes on the sky because something is out there. And it's getting closer. If you want to follow this story as it continues to unfold, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications for this channel. We'll be making follow-up videos after December 19th when new radar data comes in. Drop a comment below and tell me, do you think 3i Atlas is natural or engineered? And if it fragments, what will we see? Let me know in the comments. I read everything you write, and trust me, the best theories come from curious minds like yours. Until next time, watch the stars and watch the shadows between them.